Hello friends, this is Odds, and I've tried to record this intro about 50 times. Help. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 most common mistakes that I see survivors make. If you've watched my content, you know that I've done a lot of handicap, little challenge where I try to win with disadvantages or many times in a row. And I think over the years I've developed a good understanding of what makes me win and what makes me lose. Now, spoilers. Obviously, one of the reasons I win more often than not is because I have like 8,000 hours in this game, and most of the people that I play against do not. Oops. There's also a component of luck. Sometimes I get unlucky, lucky, depends on the map, the killer, etc., etc. That has nothing to do with your decisions, right? But we're talking about actual choices that survivors and the killers make that you can do at any level, that you could start applying right now if you're not already. So I'm going to tell you about the 5 most common bad mistakes they make, as well as 5 strategies that I don't see survivors use very much, but that are still very, very strong if used correctly. So as a killer, you can learn about all of this, learn how to identify it and dodge it. As a survivor, you can learn how to implement some of these little tricks and also what to avoid. Now, of the 5 major mistakes that survivors make, which is the greatest one? Not hiding when you're dead on hook. This is so crucial. Most of my games, most of them by far, they come down to me eliminating one survivor, somewhat methodically, and then dealing with the other 3 if there's 1 or 2 gens left. And almost any killer in almost any map against almost any survivors, if you're a 3v1, almost always you can bring it back and you can win. That is my bread and butter of how I win my games, period. Now, the problem happens when there's 2 things that could happen, obviously. If the survivors are super bad, you could also just down them all at once, but this should happen rarely. And then there's also the scenarios where the survivors are so good that you don't even get a kill. Again, that should also happen rarely. But in most of your matches, that's exactly how the killer is going to begin to win the game, by killing one survivor. Now, sometimes the killer will camp a survivor super aggressively, and there's nothing you can do other than do gens. And sometimes the killer will tunnel the survivor and be right on top of them super aggressively as well. And here you should do gens and occasionally maybe go and try to take a hit and extend it if possible. But in any other scenario where you're not being hard camped or hard tunneled, if you are dead on hook and the rest of your team is not, you need to hide. You need to lay low, keep a low profile, do gens very sparingly, heal in a corner, help the team as little as possible. You are the weak link in the team right now. I remember very vividly a recent game where everything was going wrong until I magically found the one person that was dead on hook. Then I killed them, then the rest followed. If your team is in good shape, your team should be running the killer, getting its attention, doing the gens. You should just be hiding, because a survivor that is hiding and doing gens very little is much better than a survivor that is just straight up dead. So this is the most important thing. If you have to take anything from this video, be that if you're dead on hook, you need to make sure that you don't make it easy for the killer to kill you quickly. However, one of the reasons why survivors get themselves in this situation in the first place is because of the reason number 2, mistake number 2, allowing the killer to proxy camp by health state. There are so many situations where a survivor is on the hook and they are about to hit stage 2, or they are about to hit death, and no one is healthy. No one can come. Even though there's still maybe 10 or 15 seconds until this happens, I will just sit right there knowing that because everyone is injured, no one can come for the rescue. So obviously some killers have insta-down powers that make it trivial. If they camp, they camp. But again, to your average killer, it's super important to keep at least one person healthy in case you need to go for a quick rescue. It's much, much better to rescue a survivor and then exchange yourself for them, especially if you're not dead yourself, than it is to let them die. In many, many games, if the survivors are all injured and I can get away with it, I will 100% camp it out for the next 10, 15, 20 seconds, if that looks like a good investment of my time. So how do you avoid this? Keep one person, don't try to all heal at once if it's not possible. Keep at least one person healthy so that they can go for the rescue or even an exchange if it's really necessary. Another one that's fairly common. Now we're talking smaller mistakes, but they happen very often. Survivors, for some reason, love to start generators that they cannot commit to. Especially with perks like Ruin, but sometimes even without. Doing a generator in the face of the killer, when you know for a fact that the killer's right there and that generator cannot be continued, is a waste of your time. It's basically telling the killer, okay, you're chasing one person here, and another one is right here doing a gen that they can't possibly work on properly. So be relieved, relax, you're doing super well. It's a lot more stressful for me as a killer when I down a survivor, I look around myself and I see nothing. Because at that point, I am scared that the other 3 generators, the other 3 survivors are on a generator each, and my pressure is dissipating. So please, 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 if you see your survivors being chased around you, and you cannot possibly commit to finishing a generator, because it doesn't look like it's possible, don't start a generator there, just move away, just hide, just do something else. Do not give yourself up and give that free information to the killer. Another thing that I see a lot with the rise of boon totems, bad boon totem placement and bad boon totem timing. Do not place a boon totem at the start of the game without knowing what's going on. I think that's a horrible idea. If everyone is hiding and you're in a team and you're confident that you just want to get your points, sure. But what if you set a boon totem to heal fast, and then it's just a cannibal that just camps one person on the hook? You're gonna be in a really bad spot. That time you should have spent doing gens, or that time you should have spent repositioning. What if it's a plague? You're not gonna get any heals anyway. You should not put boon totems without knowing what's going on. So please, at least try to gather some information before you place one, and you should never place them in a spot where the killer's going to find them immediately before you get 1 or 2 heals. If you don't get at least 1 or 2 good heals out of a boon totem, placing it is not worth it. If you put it in a place where the killer is very clearly going to patrol in the next few seconds, it's also not a good idea. Place boon totems in areas that are inaccessible for the killer, where going there will take more time than it's worth it, where you'll be afforded at least 2 to 3 good heals, maybe more. And if the killer goes there, they have no business going there. So doing that is a good idea. Even putting boon totems in areas where gens are already completed so that you can retreat there. That is a good idea, and that's where the boon totems, mostly Circle of Healing, really, really hurt. Otherwise, you are killing your team if you spend that much time. And another mistake that is it's not super common, not as common as the other ones, but when it happens, it is a huge deal. And I don't think survivors realize how easy it is for an experienced killer to identify us. The 5th most common mistake that is super, super critical is when survivors give away their perks very, very early and unnecessarily. Look at this clip right now. I've seen the player fast bolt a pallet without making any noise, so quick and quiet. I've seen them run very fast afterwards, live, and I noticed that they don't leave any scratch marks. Dance with me. If I chased them for a little bit longer, I would have also noticed that their walking speed was a little bit faster than usual. Fixated, aka self-aware. If I can tell your 4 or 3 perks right away in the span of like 5 seconds, that is a lot of information that you're giving me. If you unhook someone else, I know that you don't have BT, I'm going to tunnel that person. If you yourself get unhooked, I know that you don't have DS, I'm going to tunnel you. If I have to leave you on the ground, I will know for certain that you don't have Unbreakable because I've already deduced your other 4 perks. Never, never, never give away your perks to the other side for free. Keep the other side guessing so that when you use them, they are stronger. And even if you don't use them, the other side assumes. This person right here, for example, I already know their 4 perks, so I am in a massive, massive, massive advantage when chasing them again the next time. This is a bit of a problem with certain builds that are just too gimmicky, but it also comes with playstyle. If you have these builds, don't give it all away immediately and try to save some of the surprises for later. Otherwise, you are setting yourself up for a big, big failure. And now moving on to 5 things that survivors almost never do, but that if they started doing right now, I think your killer games would be much, much harder. So these are quite interesting. What would we start with? This one's really stupid, but I think it's really good. Using your flashlights aggressively to divert the killer's attention. Now, we all have seen rank 20 mechs and Dwights pointing the flashlight at the killer's face as if that will do anything. Obviously, the killer can just look away. That is not a good play to do when you are being chased. That's horrible. You should just run away. However, there is a time and a place where this strategy actually works extremely well. If a killer is struggling to keep up with the game, and the only thing they have is one person dead on hook, everyone else is fine, and it's just one person that is being chased very aggressively, using your flashlight to remove some of the view and some of the information from the killer and make them have to look away is actually extremely annoying. I've seen really good survivors who are in a really good spot, who are really, really safe, and they are trying to protect their teammate who is maybe dead on hook, just come into my view from afar. The better the add-ons on your flashlight, the more this works, and just put their light right in front of me. At that moment, the beacon of light is super intense. I don't see a thing, so I need to look down or up or sideways, or I need to move my camera a little bit. And at that point, I'm not seeing the survivor that I'm interested in, and I'm not chasing effectively. And I could even get distracted or fully blinded, which would be horrible. Doing this is so annoying. Even if you don't blind the killer, just the beacon itself gets in your way in such a way. So if you have a flashlight, don't just use it in the conventional ways. Try to use it a little bit like this. Even if it's only for a second, you could be giving a lot of distance to your one teammate that is actually in a really, really bad spot. And talking about team, survivors just hate to bring team perks. And it is such a shame because some of these perks are so strong. What do I mean by team perks? Now, we all understand that some of the strongest survivor perks, they're very selfish. It's things like Decisive, Dead Hard, Iron Will, things that just affect yourself. Okay, Borrowed Time is somewhat common, but that is pretty much a given. However, I'm talking about perks that one person brings that affect the entire team, especially if you're in a survivor fence and you can coordinate it. I'm talking perks like Distortion. One person with Distortion can immediately call out to the team if there's Lethal Pursuer, can call out Barbecue and Chili, can call out certain add-ons, they can call out certain perks. One person with Distortion can give immense information and figure out so many perks from the killer, or lack of perks, for the use of one perk out of 16. That's crazy. Prove Thyself, another super strong perk on one or two people. Open-Handed, along with Kindred, Bond, can make one perk affect the entire team. Things such as Detective's Hunch. One person can find all of the totems, can find where the basement is, can find so many quick things. And it's only one perk slot. I don't think survivors use this enough. If survivors had a better distribution of strong meta selfish perks with the occasional sprinkle utility team perks such as these, I think they would do a lot better. But, you know, that's obviously me. Now for other things that survivors almost never do. Going into lockers to avoid certain perks. Now, I'm sure I don't need to introduce you to this, but there are a lot of perks in this game that work when you do a basic attack on the survivor. For example, Jolt/Surge being one of the most common ones. You hit the survivor and bam, generators lose progress, maybe they'll drop their items with Franklin's, maybe you get, say, the best for last stack, so you recover faster, yada 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 yada. Some of these perks are really, really strong. If you identify that these perks are in play and you are completely out of options, sometimes going into a locker as a survivor is a pretty good idea. If the killer swings, they can waste an extra 1 or 2 seconds. If they expect you to come out, they can waste an extra 1 to 2 seconds on top. And when they do grab you, if they want to slug you, they'll take longer. So you could go into a locker to delay a slug, which would be really strong. And obviously, all of these perks that we mentioned do not work. So the generator, for example, that would have exploded with Jolt, doesn't explode anymore. Survivors going into lockers to avoid certain perks like this are actually quite smart, and I don't think there's enough of them. Another thing that I rarely see, I've only seen this very few times, survivors being cheeky and faking stealth. Now, you as a killer eventually learn the really hard way that the survivors that are clicky, inviting you into a chase are very good and very confident. You chase those survivors, there's a good chance that you won't catch them soon. However, the survivors that are hiding behind a little tree, the survivors that are hiding behind a little corner, the survivors that stand still next to a gen, crouching, hoping that you don't notice them, those survivors are scared. And survivors that are scared are typically easier to catch because they're not so confident in their ability to run you. Now, one thing that I almost never see is a good survivor that pretends to be stupid in order to completely outplay the killer. So you pretend to be stealthy, so the killer has this neuron activation reaction of, oh, stealthy survivor. this survivor's in a bad spot, I'm gonna go for them. And you use this as a bait to distract them from something else. And actually, in truth, even though you were faking being stealthy, you're actually in a good spot, and the killer is nowhere near catching you. Consider this clip from our friend Aaron. He pretends to go inside a locker, knowing that the killer cannot lunge. The killer tries to lunge and fails. And when the killer tries to open the locker, he comes out, forcing the space to instead pick up the survivor, and then finds an angle to flashlight save. This is a survivor pretending to be stupid, pretending to be stealthy, to make the killer think that they have the upper hand, when in reality they are being played for a fool. Do this more, and I guarantee you'll trick even smart killers into making big mistakes. And even if everything else fails, one thing that I almost never see survivors do, if you are about to go down, go die in a corner. Dying and going down in absolutely desolate corners of the map is something that I see very good survivors do. Once they realize that I'm about to catch them and that it's just a matter of a few seconds, they decide where they want to go down. And the answer is as far away as possible from every other gen. Doing this can genuinely add up. If this happens to you a couple times per game, that's already like 5-10 seconds extra of you walking to a horrible, very isolated place, picking up, then going to a horrible isolated hook. And by the time, even if you do everything else perfectly, by the time you get to the gens, you're gonna lose 1, 2, 3, just like that. So, survivors, go to corners of the map more often, just to waste time, those extra 5-6 seconds that the killer will need to go there to catch you, and then another extra 5 or 6 seconds to get to a very suboptimal hook, where even if you do go down, you can hang in there for a little while your teammates smash the gens. And that's pretty much all I have for you today. I hope it was a good watch, and you let me know what are the mistakes that you think I missed, or what are some of the rare strategies that you wish survivors did more against you, or less, depending how you look at it. I'll see you in the next one. Thank goodness gracious, it took me so many times to record this video. But yeah, you don't need to know that. See ya.